Okay, here we are. Um, I only just got on in time to catch this one. This is going to be JK the Bullfrog versus Kleerkast. Crazyhouse World Championship candidates match. We're kicking off with e4, e5. The knight is declined. Bishop e5 and knight e2. I've seen this a few times in the candidates. It looks like this has been a prepared line. They're both moving very quickly. Um, no, really glad to be able to catch one of JK the Bullfrog's matches. I haven't caught many of those in the Crazyhouse World Championship. Now black's gone straight for h5, h4. Wow. Okay. Takes and knight at b7. So white is pushing black off the defense of g5. And has spent hardly any time. So I wonder if JK the Bullfrog has already played this before, or if this is a prepared line. But black looks like he's in a little bit of trouble already here. I wonder if he has to cut some losses, and I don't know, it's hard to dispose of the knight usefully here. I mean, the rook takes, that looks like it helps white. I don't think black's going to get enough compensation after h3. I mean, you can play hg, takes the rook, takes. Okay, so he settles for knight h3 check. He's just looking to get a weakness at least. G takes h3, probably queen b8, or queen c8 is played. And then at least maybe bishop takes h3 will recover the material, or otherwise b7 falls. So knight a5 makes sense. Bishop takes h3, knight takes c6 would give the upper hand to white. Yeah, so this looks like a theoretical continuation, and it looks like Kleerkast came out a little worse out of the opening. So now white's got this extra piece. Queen a6 makes sense to try to hold on to the pawn on c6. He's basically asking white to play knight b3, then bishop takes h3. So I think Kleerkast here is making the best of a bad situation. Alright, so JK is going to settle for having a piece for a pawn. Now there's a bit of a weakness here. There were worse continuations for black than this one. Yeah, so what's going on here? If you've not seen this before, I mean, we've got a 3-minute delay from the live play to respect the integrity of the match. There's no information being leaked from this stream to the live play. And over on the bottom right of the screen, you'll see a Candidates Appreciation Fund. It's been phenomenal support from the viewers so far this season. We've got $875 out of 1,111 donated to the candidates. It's basically there's 11 candidates, and with $1,111, that is enough to allow $101 per candidate, and that's to be paid upon the completion of their 10 matches, each of the candidates. So that's just a bit of incentive to keep the candidates going, no matter how they're going in the event, and to appreciate all the time they're putting into preparing and playing. So yes, please continue to give generously. We're at 78% of the target, which is absolutely phenomenal. Let's get back to the game. Pawn at g3, bishop at d7. Now, you know, black looking to make some progress here. JK stopping to consider. Knight g6 played. Now the bishop goes, or the check could come off that way. I was considering bishop takes e6 first, possibly. Okay, he's chosen. So Kleerkast gets a little chance to try to attack. Okay, he's gone rook at g6 to defend here first. I thought maybe a pawn or a bishop on g3. I thought maybe the rook could be useful in hand, but I think JK is quite confident with his bishop defending f2 and g1. There's still quite a lot of strength. Maybe queen h3, get a look at e6. So white's still up material, still holding enough to fend off the attack. Pawn at f5 is looking dangerous. Pawn at f2. I think king h1 is going to be his move. Yep. Oh, pawn at f5 looking dangerous. Yeah. So a little bit about JK the Bullfrog. JK the Bullfrog was granted a special wildcard entry quite late. There was, previously a little bit of protests from some of the players. So a lot of people also like this as well. We had Fumitox withdraw for a period, but thankfully he's back in the rounds. And a little bit more on JK. I mean, JK has actually been playing Crazyhouse longer than I have. I've been in the game probably about 17 or 18 years now. And JK the Bullfrog was already a top player when I came along to the scene. So he is a true veteran. He has always been able to adapt to the new field. Has always remained competitive. So a very very strong player from the past and still is in the present. So it's great to be able to catch one of his candidates matches tonight. So let's talk about this sack here. Knight takes h7, pawn at g5. I mean, white would want to have the queen come out. I only foresaw black either putting the knight on g4 or possibly the bishop on g4. Now he's opted for the knight at g4. He's not really looking at moving it again because queen h5 is quite uncomfortable. So he's just looked at recovering this pawn here by blocking with knight at f4. I agree with his choices. Could take with the bishop, could take with the pawn. I think pawn was... I like taking with the pawn because it makes some way for knight e5, which is nicely coordinating with the bishop on c8 and hitting c4. Maybe he's thought bishop at h2 had some value, or was otherwise just not wanting to leave a bishop on g5. Bakuz, hello. Okay, hello. And yes, $875. That's not bad at all. That's right. That's good support from the community. Okay, knight d5. He's allowed knight at f6 here. It's going to rip off the queen, but maybe he figures knight at f6, knight takes e8, pawn at e2. And he's just going to settle for taking g4 and getting in with an attack. Could be losing the queen, but not that easy for white to continue attacking. So he's just gone straight for the throat pawn at e2. Yes, possibly because there's a suggestion there from Bakuz to extend the donation period some more. Yeah, I think we might do that because I don't think all of the games will wrap up in the next 5 days, but I think we only have about, I think it was 12 or 13 matches left. So yeah, I mean, out of 55, from memory it was 13 left. It might be out of 55 games, maybe 42 of the candidates matches have been played already. So, very high completion rate already, but we probably need a bit more than 5 days to get through the last few rounds or last few matches. Now I think knight takes f4 played to just temporarily cover e2. I wonder if he's thinking, well, bishop at e2 isn't that helpful. We'll take and play knight at d4. Stapleton Chess, welcome to the chat, and Blunderman1 as well. Yeah, I agree. We should extend the time to allow some more donations in. I think bishop at f3 here. That way, if knight takes, queen takes, knight at d4, queen h3 check would be playable. So that seems the best way to defend e2. So yeah, I like how Kleerkast has gone about this. I mean, knight at f6 looked tempting, but this is possibly a bit more sustainable. I don't know if he has to play bishop at e2 here, knight at e5 then. I mean, JKiller playing very well here. Okay, he's opted to go for the dark squares now. The pawn at e3, stopping knight at e3, but black's looking at pawn at h2, knight at f2. It's probably not enough yet. I'm looking at pawn at h2, king h1, knight at f2, rook takes, g takes, king takes h2, knight takes f3, bishop takes, bishop at g1. A whole lot can happen here. He's decided queen e5. Okay, white's gone straight for f7. Okay, bishop takes g4. He's just covering his back rank from rook at g8, and I think if takes, he's maybe thinking knight at f2. Against pawn at g6, you've got to cover rook at h7. So knight at g5 played. Now I'm expecting knight at f2. Okay, he's done the check first. This is the key here with queen e5 is he's defending h2. And then there's a big rook at g1 threat. Okay, rook at g1, king takes, rook takes g2. Chuck Moulton, tier 1 sub, subscribed for 6 months in a row. Thank you so much, Chuck. I met Chuck many years ago in New York, and we had a little bug house gathering going on there. Okay, rook at h5, very accurate. The only blocker in hand was rook at h6. And he's ripped off the queen with check. I think JKiller's missed this one. If you hear me say JKiller, I mean JKtheBullfrog. I think queen at f6 is the move here. Queen at f6. No, that's also strong. Could be better. g7, he's looking for knight at h5. Wow, Kleerkast, very accurate here. Rook at h5. Maybe black had to go for rook at g1 and takes the queen. Might have been stronger. So here he's determining if he should take it or play king h7. I think black is busted here. Knight at h5. Okay, he's gone for this. No, takes. Knight at h5. That should be game over. So there's mate in one, queen at g7. Wow, nice find from Kleerkast. Maybe pawn at g3, a slight inaccuracy by JK. I think he had rook at g1 check, king takes h2, rook takes g2 check, king h1, could go back to rook g1. If king h2, there was knight at f3 check. If the queen captured, hard to say. I just feel pawn at g3. It looked like Kleerkast had a force win there. And Raj Mithan, welcome to the chat as well. We're at 1-1 here. I thought JK really had the upper hand there, and Kleerkast had a very accurate find with rook at h5, forcing rook at h6. Maybe there was rook at h7, but yeah, I think JK just let that one slip in a sharp position. Hats off to Kleerkast for being resourceful to find a win there. Okay, Kleerkast very quickly grabbing g2 and JK ignoring it. An enemy knight next to your king is often your friend, and this knight doesn't have a good square to go to quickly. Could go to h4, but then takes, queen takes, and this bishop is on. I like knight h4 here. Prevents DC because you can take d1 and there's mate. You can't play bishop g5 because of knight takes f3, queen takes g5. Now the bishop is hanging here, so DC would threaten pawn at d7. I think that'll be JK's choice. JK never afraid to play a sharp aggressive move. I think DC, no, he's gone DE. Okay. I would have thought you take the knight, but perhaps he's looking for pawn at f7 here. He may even be looking at pawn at d7, pawn at f7, but bishop takes e6. I think pawn at f7 immediately might be stronger. Knight at g5 check. You can't push the king back to g8. You could go to e7. From a pure point of view here, I'm slightly preferring black. Black has a little bit more material. It's got the pawn up, and if black can just hold on with king takes, while it looks a bit scary for black, I think objectively black is up material here and has the upper hand. So he's gone pawn at d7. He's taken a break from the checks. Knight at g5 might be a bit stronger with this pawn being here. You've got some fuel if you can get another bishop. Okay, bishop d6, so threatening mate. Also covering the back rank. Bishop takes e6. So JK playing a good practical game here. If king takes, this takes the bishop, queen d5 check. If the king ever goes to e7 or d8, there'll be a bishop g5. So he actually goes back here. That's why this bishop is somewhat poisoned. One possible continuation was king takes e6, takes the bishop with check, rook takes, queen d5 check, king d7 to avoid the dark squares, but bishop at e6, no better for black. King e8, pawn at d7 would win the rook on c8. King d8 or king e7 would be met by bishop g5. If takes, the queen gives check again, so there's no fork with knight at h3 or knight at f3, and then you'd have queen at d7 wrapping up. So quite sharp here, but this bishop was poisoned. That's why Kleerkast has gone back to f8. Both players are playing a very good standard here tonight. Knight at h3, looking to alleviate some pressure. Queen would get out of dodge, but also defend e6 and d7 from knight checks. And JK not wanting to allow that. So I think here, pawn at g2, king takes, pawn at g4 is no good. You take here. Okay. So what to do as black? JK's making Kleerkast burn the clock here. And Kleerkast figured his attack was running out. He resigned. Wow. JK putting on some serious pressure there. It looked like there was a hole on G2, but I don't think Black could do much with it. JK again going for bishop e7. Not wasting any time in the opening. Kleerkast switching up. Not playing knight takes h7, or is it actually JK? He played queen e8 last time. This time he played knight d4. So bishop e3 allows white to potentially stock up with more material before going with the sack, and then maybe having another knight in hand from capturing here to put on g5. Okay, we're going to see a progression of the sacrifice, but not capturing f7, just leaving this pin on. Sometimes it's better left in the hope you can get a pawn to put on g6. And Stapleton Chair saying Jeremiah must be his first name. Yes, it's Jeremiah. I think he was... Is it Jeremiah the Bullfrog? Is maybe a reference. Jeremy or Jeremiah. It's his real name. Better known as J Killer. That's what JK stands for. J Killer, his historic name on freechess.org. Oh, we've got a donation from David Hanley, $15. Thanks for this great stream. Well, thanks for this great donation, David. Appreciate that. Pushes up to $890. Just pushes us over 80%. There we go. 80%. Phenomenal. Appreciate the donation, David Hanley. Now, JK wasting no time here. I think he was wise to liquidate the pawn on f5. He's just playing a very nice, practical style, like he always does. Yeah, pawn at f4 here is good. He's just taken this. Okay, so he's figured he's going to sack the queen, and that white has no real easy avenues to attack. So knight e4, white's got to try to make something. I like bishop at d5, so if knight g5 you can play king g8, bishop covers f7, but also there could be some threats with pawn at h3 or knight at h3 or knight at h4. This is a natural attacking line. If you play something like c4, yeah, black may even take this and be okay. You could be opening up some trades. Bishop at d5. Takes. Alright, he's taking with a knight actually. Knight at h3 now. He's looking for the kill. Bishop takes g2. Black has too much in hand here. This has to be a win for black. Bishop at g2, king e3, knight at c4 would be mating. Bishop at g2, pretty straightforward. If the king runs this way, he's going to get mated for sure. Not sure why he's thinking. Maybe he feels his next move is knight at g5 or knight at h4, but it's just bishop at g2. He'll find it. He's got 2.5 minutes. Oh my goodness. So he's actually put the knight on h4. That's why he's been thinking so long. I mean, the key is really stopping the white king from going this direction. And David Hanley also cheering 100 bits. Thanks, David. So now, yeah, he's got checks here. He's got rook at d3. He's got to be careful he's not getting mated himself. I think this just makes this a little tougher for black. Yeah, this is more dangerous than black would like. that was the idea of bishop at g2. You keep the knight in hand, so this king e3 is never even an option. It's just mate straight away. He's now having to win the queen here. And then it's potentially dangerous with bishop at e6. So here he's got an extra knight in hand. He'll win the queen with check. He's got it here. Knight at b4 check. Wins the queen with check. Queen at c2. So bishop at h4, bishop at a4 was accurate. If white had played bishop at b3, black wouldn't have the knight in hand to place on b4, but then black would be more comfortable taking d1 because there's no knight check. Oh wow, this is theory. Like we saw this being played by Sexy and I Know It against Opelwezen. Because JK clearly played knight e2 before when bishop no, it wasn't bishop f5. Was it maybe against bishop f5? Yeah, he brought the knight out to e2, and then he's changed to bring in the knight to f3 when the bishop's gone to d7. And I saw against Opelwezen it was more effective putting the knight here because it prevented knight takes e5 tactics. There was like knight c3 takes, knight takes, bishop takes, and knight takes f7 went well. I don't agree as much with this one. I think the bishop belongs back on d3. Yeah, there was some very nice games between Sexy and I Know It and Opelwezen. And Sexy and I Know It was the only player to draw half a point from Opelwezen so far. Okay. Got a few more coming to the chat. Hi everyone. Okay, knight at g5. So yeah, I just feel this is a useful square. Like the whole advantage is with black putting the bishop on d7, you can retreat the bishop back to d3, and the bishop on d3 is unopposed on this diagonal. So here I feel like black's okay. Bishop at g6 is nice. You can't really get knight h4 in because this knight is tied down, and if you want to free yourself of that burden, black makes a bit of progress by getting the pawn on e4 and some pressure on f3 with the bishop behind it. Now is at h4. I think Kleerkast will be happy here out of the opening. And I think it's just bishop takes c6 is probably a bit more favourable for black rather than bishop d3. So h4 to defend the knight on g5. Black has 3 attackers. We need to match that with 3 defenders. Capture on c3. Is he going to rinse and repeat or knight on f5? I like the knight on f4 here. I feel like black just helped white a little bit maybe with capturing the knight on c3 because white got to bring the knight from c3 to f4 by placing the pieces on the board instead of having to make 2 moves to get to f4. So knight takes g5 play, but leaving knight takes h4 open. Knight takes g6, knight takes g6. I was thinking h takes g5 to preserve the pawn. I think this is capturable. Maybe he's concerned about knight takes e6. But this is one of those critical positions when you have 2 very strong players like this where I think knight takes h4 is objectively right to win a pawn, but there's a few scary moves which, it's hard to tell if white's playing a bluff or if it's a genuine threat. Now knight at g4, what he's doing here is he's preventing something happening with knight takes e6 because
queen takes h4 is on the board. But here bishop at f7 is left open, and I feel like white kind of got away with a bluff there. There's bishop takes e6 and knight e3. You can't take this because of bishop at here. So bishop at a3, effectively you can't play king d7. You get mated with bishop takes e6, pawn at f7. Black has to block. You didn't really want to do that. Now bishop takes e6. If knight takes e3, f takes e3 is viable because bishop at h2, king h1, and this knight is no longer in hand for black to put on g3. I feel knight takes h4 may have been slightly better than knight at g4, but I may have missed something sharp. I just saw knight takes g6, knight takes g6, and that's where I feel like even the best players in the game are tested on, you know, whether they can call a bluff or if they're pushed into a situation which may actually be worse for them. So this is really strong for white now. He just went for taking the knight in the end. You could take e3, bishop at h2, king takes, bishop takes f4, and then it doesn't matter if rook takes or pawn takes, knight at g3, king g1, pawn at h2 will be mate. I feel at least that black's threatening something. If you play knight takes e3, knight g6, then king d7, bishop takes e6, king c7, it's probably just holding. He's gone with the rook h6 though. But I feel maybe white can just take this one. So queen to a5. Kleerkast trying to be resourceful here. Now white's up a fair bit of material. JK going the aggressive path. Yeah, bishop f4, that's nice. Then now black has nothing to play for. So material now balanced, but white has a much safer king than black. He's looking for a kill shot here. JK's got to be practical. He's up on time. You don't want to sacrifice that time advantage. You could take here. Could take here. Bishop takes d5. I like. Knight takes d4. He's gone straight for knight takes. Okay, looking for the dark squares. Midnight Fox Dota has cheered. 1 bit. Says go Jeremy. Bishop e6. You could liquidate any threats at the back. I mean, Kleerkast has held on well here. Kleerkast has held on to some practical chances. I like bishop at h2. It gives a bit of defense for black. This is serious. This is still a very live game for both players. Or e8. I liked e8 before. Though this is very good too. Bishop at e8 queen, because if rook takes, you have knight f6, a double check. But let's stay live. So JK has just decided he's going to liquidate the attack Kleerkast has here, and white's still going to have the upper hand and continue attacking. So yeah, very accurate there. If takes knight at g6 was mating. Kleerkast though, he's equal to the task. Knight at g4 doesn't really go anywhere. I think queen takes f6 was on the cards there, pawn at g6. But JK still hanging in there. Queen takes f7, threatening knight at g6 mate. There we have it. Wow. JK playing really well. Kleerkast playing really well too, but JK coming up with the goods. This is good pressure bughouse from both players. I felt Kleerkast got a decent opening out of the start. I mean, it's splitting hairs, but maybe knight takes h4 was a little bit better for black early in the opening. I think white had some advantages on the light squares, which determined the outcome inevitably. Bishop at h6 covers everything back at home. But JK sometimes doesn't like to be passive like that. He'll look for the more aggressive of the two alternatives. But he plays a very nice balance between what is generally aggressive, yet not overly aggressive as well. Knight at d4, bishop c5. Okay, he's been resourceful here with c5, but is that good? I don't know about that. I think black just lost some material and lost any entry points. This is just getting in the way. Maybe he missed knight takes f5. This is just good for white, I feel. White is basically, well, nearly up a cold piece. There's some dark square weaknesses, but like bishop h4, pawn at g3. I feel like JK is just keeping a straight face here and pushing forward. White can even afford to allow this to be captured, I think. You might even consider knight at f6 here. Bishop takes, knight takes. Yeah, if you really wanted to go for it, you could play knight at f6, king h8, pawn at h6 to really force the issue. Pawn at e3, a little bit safer. But this wasn't really a threat because the entry points for a knight were both covered already. Now bishop h4 is not just played as an aggressive move, but it's also to prevent white from taking the bishop here. Okay, Kleerkast I think has accurately identified that bishop takes f2 is favourable for him. He's cut off the queen from the defense on h4, and this is a monster of an attack. Knight at e7 now and mate threat. Queen takes, king here, bishop takes g7. This is as game over as it gets, guys. I think JK's just made a blunder in the opening. It could have been bishop c5 instead of c5, but even then I didn't feel knight takes f2 was so warranted. You could have been bishop at h6. It was very solid. Way back here. I mean, I might be more conservative though. Bishop at h6 I just felt was giving the right defense, and not overextending too fast. Alright, pawn at g3, so he's looking to resourcefully distract white's attack. I agree with king takes. I mean, rook at g6, but you can defend that with pawn at g5. Alright, there's talk of the titled arena tomorrow. Magnus is playing, and we normally have Opperwesen put up a good fight in the titled arena. I like it that Opperwesen is like the only IM sometimes among that field. There's a whole lot of GM names, and like, you know, Opperwesen is placed in top 3. That's phenomenal against that kind of field. So Opperwesen, good luck if you're playing in that tomorrow. Any other viewers here, if you're joining the titled arena, good luck. It's phenomenal that we've got Magnus playing on Lichess. Absolutely phenomenal. World champion, and he's very very generous in that he just returns the prize money generally. Okay, h6, let's get back to this. Bishop takes, I think, is right. Knight at f6 is a big threat. You can play bishop takes d8. Alright, but knight at f6 is mating here. Takes, 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 takes. Queen at h7. Some cheeky comments I'm reading. Baku says John Lee is the Magnus of Crazyhouse. That's too generous. Putting my name in the same line as Magnus. And then we've got Lindsay Lohan with a double N. It's like Magnus is the John Lee of chess. Get your order right. That's very kind, guys. Thanks for the comparison. It's too kind. Magnus is a genius. I actually I'm a big Magnus fan. Because I find Magnus really, he plays chess over the board, and what I mean by that is, quite commonly is criticized for playing slightly unusual openings, but it's just to get his opponent out of familiar territory and then play an even position and then look to outplay his opponent on the board. I really admire him for that. I mean, one of the reasons why I really stopped playing chess was because I found that there was so much theory, and then it became more about studying the game outside of the board and, just bashing out moves from move one. And I found with Crazyhouse it was still much less developed. There's still some theory developing now with Stockfish coming along, but I admire that at the top levels Magnus still just kind of plays for equality in the opening, and then with his talent he's able to push his opponents off the board even if it goes right down to the end game. So okay, I like white here. This weakness is getting exposed by white. Pawn at g6 is a clear entry point. I don't think bishop takes g2 is much to be concerned about. Like pawn at f3, knight h4. Pawn at g6 is the concern. So bishop e7 might be in order here. Even then, knight takes f7, king takes pawn at g6, and knight at f7. So e5 has been played not just to open lines, but most importantly open up defense on f7. That's nice from Kleerkast. He knows it's coming. So it takes a few quick captures from JK. I like JK where he sees there's a free opportunity to attack. He doesn't waste any time. He's just straight in there. He's got a good time advantage. Alright, Oppa wasn't saying thanks. It's getting harder every event since more top players from chess.com join. So I think the Lichess arena is becoming more well known and draws in an amazing field of grandmasters. Yeah, d5, gorgeous move. D5. If takes, bishop at f7 looks really deadly because you have to take, queen takes. If rook takes, knight at g5 looks like it's a mate, so you might have to take with a knight. But you could maybe even go bishop takes d5, queen takes d5, queen takes, and bishop at f7. So pawn at e2. So takes. If king takes, bishop at e6. Yeah, this is looking close to mate. King e7, bishop g5, blocker, knight at f5, king e8, knight takes g7 is the win. That's very elegant. If bishop takes queen g6 check and queen f7 mates, if you after knight g7, if king e7, then knight f5, king e8. I like bishop g5 better. I think there was forced mate there. That was quite nice. But this is still strong for white. Queen h4. So making some room. This is still dangerous because knight g6 wins the queen now. So that's game over. No problems for JK. He moves up 5 games to 2. He's guaranteed half a point here. Yeah, what's JK on? I think he's on 1 out of 4, I believe. But let's just clarify. Yeah, JK on 1 out of 4. He lost to Opperwesen 6-4. He lost to GSV 8-2. He drew 12-teen 5-all. He drew Zhuan at 5-all. So JK yet to score a win, but he's looking like he's on the verge of booking this one. Now I'm gonna let you guys know something. Tomorrow is Friday for me. And normally I'd have to go to work, but I've actually put in a day of leave for tomorrow, Friday. Well, it's actually Friday now. Sorry, it's Friday here in Australia at 12:47 a.m. But that means I've got the day off tomorrow. Now there's 2 more candidates matches that are going to happen shortly. We've got JKtheBullfrog versus let me just wind this back a bit. JKtheBullfrog versus Little Plotkin, which will be in about an hour from now. Sorry, I'm distracted from the game here, but just planning. Yeah, about an hour from now we've got JKtheBullfrog versus Little Plotkin. And then later on we've got Kleerkast versus Zhuan. That's in about 3.5 hours. So I'm wondering how many games I should be streaming tonight, given I actually have the day off tomorrow. Could maybe pull an all-nighter. We'll see. We'll see how I feel. I did actually catch a few hours sleep before I got here. I fell asleep trying to put my daughter to sleep. Actually, that happens sometimes. My daughter has a habit of saying no, someone has to put me to bed, and then sometimes I'm out before she is, and then I wake up a few hours later or the next morning. It's a bad habit, but that's why I got a few hours sleep before joining the stream. So knight d6. Let's just rewind. I missed a bit of the action. So pawn was traded there, and okay, it's all very even. Knight at f4. Okay, rook takes f4, bishop takes f4. Wow, queen sack. I like this. I mean, JK's just going, you can't really penetrate my position with a rook and a queen, and I'm going to have some weaknesses to hit, so I'm just going to go for it. Yeah, takes bishop at e3, king h2. Yeah, it's close. Is the bishop taking f4? No, he's going knight takes g3. So here, if king takes g3, the move I like is actually bishop takes f4. and that just stops the king going back. And if the king comes up, you just play knight at f5, and that stops the king from ever going backwards. Okay, bishop at h6 played. What's pawn at f7? He just wins the queen here. I didn't get pawn at f7. I don't know if he missed bishop takes. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Just like that, JK is up 6 games to 2. I didn't even think that the pawn at g3 was going to be that effective, but it just played into his hands. So we saw this in the first match. JK just won it very quickly. Okay, Kleerkast changing his order slightly. He's playing rook b8 to prevent knight at b7. That's where he got tricked last time. So JK now having a bit of a think. I like this opening for white. Okay, oh GM, yes, Cyril one is in the chat. Knight e4 here. Okay, takes. Knight at g5. So e4 is gonna fall because you can't defend it on any of these squares with a knight. Yeah, that's pretty nice. You're just saying I'm gonna be a pawn up. Okay, bishop takes here, knight at c3. So if bishop takes, you got to take with a queen. No, he plays c4, much stronger. So what? Queen takes b5, takes, knight takes d4. Doesn't work. Queen takes d4, bishop at c5 is met by queen at d7 mate. So black is on the back foot here. White's just going to be happy to capture this pawn and just claim he's a pawn up. Skinny Pan, hey John Lee, thanks from the heart for all the effort you are putting in this. Have a great night. Thanks to Skinny Pan. Oppa saying, hello John Lee, if you got a free day, maybe a 960 session is an idea. Nah, I will have to put my free time into things other than streaming. We've moved into a new place in the last few weeks, and there's still, yeah, you know, there's boxes to unpack, there's junk to be thrown out. Got to change my address on a lot of things. Got to, yeah, I'm taking some time out to do some life tasks, and sometimes you can only do some things during the weekdays because the services are only open then. So no, it won't be put into a Crazyhouse. If anything, it's the time when I should be sleeping that might get put in a Crazyhouse. Which is why I'm contemplating if I should be doing an all-nighter tonight. Yeah, I might even just, you know, have a sleep for an hour and then come back and then stream another match and then have another snooze for an hour and come back. I'm kind of blessed in that I can fall asleep and rise pretty quickly. So if I get, you know, 2 hours plus 2 hours plus 2 hours, it's not ideal, but it more or less adds up to the 6 hours sleep. If I had 6 hours sleep straight, it can't be as good as straight sleep, but you know, some people, you know, will have to have straight sleep or take a long time to get back to sleep, and
I'm quite fortunate. Um, I noticed that more when Bella was first born and woke up every 1.5 hours, and I probably cope a bit better with that sleeping schedule than my wife does. Um, I mean, I might be tired, but yeah, I can still function not too bad with staggered sleep. Okay. So OK says Little Plot converse Juanet and Little Plot converse Master Tan were the only two candidates matches not covered so far. I was going to do catch-up analysis one day, but maybe you might like to look at the games in the break. Yeah, maybe. Could be sleep. We'll see. If I don't get enough sleep, then I'll just be yawning the whole time during the coverage. White looks really good here, by the way. I know I've been waffling on about sleep, but I was leaning towards Queen F3 before, just back here instead of D5. I thought Queen F3. You're making some threat at pawn at F7 maybe, but covering this knight. I mean D5 is fine as well. But JK burning a lot of the clock here. Queen D7, Queen F7, the clear mate threat, but there's also some other hidden things like Bishop takes C6, Pawn at F7, Knight at G6 on a good day if you can knock the Queen offline. Okay, he's gone for the capture. Bishop C5 is going to cover some squares. Is it Pawn at D7 or Pawn at F7? Alright, he's taken this one first, got all the ammo in hand. Pawn at D6, D7, King here. Could be Pawn at E7 check. No, he's gone that way. Bishop C5. JK will wrap this up with a mate. Bishop at G. No, what's the mate here? There's got to be mate. Knight at D4 check. King takes. Bishop at E6. But this is probably mate as well. Bishop at E6. A knight on F7. A pawn on D7. JK is a premium player, so he's going to find mate in a situation like that, even with 10 seconds left. That's like good old-fashioned bread and butter. Very experienced Crazyhouse player, very experienced Bughouse player. Yeah. Actually, yes, I'd be curious to know, are you hanging around? Because if you want, you can join me on stream in about an hour if you want to commentate alongside me. That'd be cool. We've done a few streams with Yasser, but Yasser's been very busy with commentary on other streams. So I'll see. We'll see if Yasser's interested. Would love to have him on board. I've been doing the candidate streams solo for a little while, but I haven't exactly had the the luxury of planning my time. So even this one, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to catch, and I pretty much got on 2 minutes before the game started. Bella kind of stirred from her sleep just near midnight, and I wasn't sure if I'd have to give her my attention, but she fell asleep again just in time. So solid from both sides here. This is one of Kleerkast's favourite openings, and I've seen Kleerkast do very well in positions where it's purely strategic, and
I mean, I caught a saying recently. It was what is it? Something like strategy is required when there's nothing to do, and tactics are required when there's something to do. And I found Kleerkast has had some nice demonstrations of being able to make something happen even when there's seemingly been nothing to do on the board. Yeah, I like this from black. I mean, JK's position looks a little bit disrupted here, but in fact it's black that has the first strike, first meaningful strike. You could take here, or play rook takes e7. I like Yasser's comment from a previous game. 92 check was egregiously bad there. That's one of Yasser's favorite terms. He's told me several times when we've had matches and I make a bad move. He says, "I think that was an egregious error, and you're now cruising for a bruising." That's normally what I get told when I've not done the right thing. Anyway, pawn at e7. Yeah, I felt this is a bit risky. I would have chosen back here after bishop at e7. I would have taken f2 and taken e7 and just given black no chance to attack. These two bishops on opposite colors are so good for defense, and then the knight's got an easy target on f2. e3 is still weak. It's supported by the bishop. Just positionally, e takes f2 and rook takes e7 was lower risk. Here white gets to exchange the bishop for the queen, puts the pawn where it belongs, has pressure on the back rank, and this knight takes d1 threat is not so great, because now even if you have the queen on hand, you can't do much with it. It may actually be more valuable to take and have a rook on f2 and your knight on g4. Nearly a little bit like a dog's bark is worse than its bite. You just had to liquidate what white had. Okay, Yasser, he says, yeah, I should be around or lurking rest of the day. He says, happy to join. So, let's get Yasser in here. Next one's coming up in 1 hour. Alright. So let's just recap here. Okay, Kleerkast decided he wanted some ammo from f2. JK's done some trades. Knight at e7 is looking dangerous. So black with 2 queens in hand, but some defensive resources. There's nearly a mate. Knight at f2, king here, pawn at h2. If knight takes h2, queen at h1 check, bishop takes, knight h3 check, king g2 or king f1, and queen at f2 mates. So knight at f2, king g1, pawn at h2. You can't take here because queen at e3 takes, and then queen at f2. But king f1, queen at g1 takes. Knight at h3, king h2, knight g4, king h1, queen h2 mated. I'm still calculating that line, guys. If pawn h2, I think king takes was forced.
Then queen at h1 doesn't work. Unless you had a different move order. Queen at h1. Bishop takes pawn here. Yeah, then king f1 may have been safe. It was close. That was nearly a mate there. Okay, so ED was taken to prevent knight at e7. Okay, queen at h5. Maybe giving a bit of defense, but also asking white to expend a piece. Still a live game here. It looks dangerous for white though. Is there a capture here? Queen takes h4. Why not queen takes h4 yet? Queen takes h4. Knight at f2. Alright, Kleerkast. Low on time. JK just very well holding practically. I think he's going to take this 8-2. He's safe at the back. Kleerkast holding on. But JK just pushing it all the way to the end. He wins 8 games to 2. Very nice. Yes, I'll let Yvette, my wife, know that I'll be hard at work. Smile. Nice. Congratulations to JK. Really nice play there, winning 8-2. A lot of tight finishes there. Kleerkast wasn't playing bad. He put up a fantastic fight. JK was just too strong there. So look, we'll have. I will take a break there. Actually, we'll be back in specifically 53 minutes. We'll have the match is going to be JKtheBullfrog versus Little Plotkin. I'm actually very happy to stream that match because I've not caught many matches from JKtheBullfrog or Little Plotkin, so it'll be good to have both of those up. And yeah, we'll likely have Yasser join us for that stream as well. Yasser, I will find you on Skype a little bit before then, but I will actually just I'm going to catch just a little bit more sleep before that stream, and then if I have the stamina, we'll go for Kleerkast versus Juanet as well afterwards. I have a day of leave tomorrow, so I've got to take advantage of it, right? So I'm going to leave you there just for now. Yeah, hope you really enjoyed that series. Actually, before I go, I will just show that mating sequence, which probably needed a bit of help from white, but it was back here. I was looking at yeah, sorry, before I wrap up, I just thought I had to show this. So knight at f2, and after king g1 I was looking at pawn at h2, where if knight takes h2 is played, then queen at h1 you can't take here because of queen at e3. So bishop takes h1, knight h3 check, and regardless of where the king moves, queen at f2 is mate. It wasn't forced though because white can take h2 here, and then I think black is short on the material to finish. Yeah, so if it was pawn h2, king f1 I think would get close to be mated. Yeah, you'd take here. And then knight at h3, king h2. There's a finish there as well. But pretty certain it's not mate after pawn at h2. I mean, we can check what the engine says, but I think it will just call king takes h2. Yeah, there's no mate there. It's still suggesting pawn at h2, but it's calling it equal. Anyway, I just thought that was a little bit elegant to show. Doesn't quite work. Okay, I will see you all in about 50 minutes. Yasser, I'll probably find you about 5 or 10 minutes before game time. So Yasser, I'll contact you in about 40 or 45 minutes. I'll make sure we can
set up the stream so it accommodates both of us. All right, I'm going to take a little bit of sleep quickly, and then I'll be back for the next one. Jake Killer vs. Little Plotkin in 50 minutes. Okay, we'll see you shortly, guys. Bye.